family. Welcome back to another episode of the ATL. I'm your host, Keys, and today we're going to be talking about unhealed baggage and how to incorporate that into the healing journey. This year, we're not second guessing ourselves. We're talking about healing from a real perspective. The truth is, in this world, the baggage you don't unpack can cost you everything. It slows your grind and clouds your vision. So today, I've decided to explore some paths to unpacking baggage and healing at the same time. The stuff that has an emotional impact but also allows us to heal. So let's get into it. So when I say healing, I'm not just talking about feeling better. I'm talking about real healing. Real healing is a narrative arc. It's got a beginning, a middle, and a resolution. But you can't get to the resolution if you're still carrying around chapters you haven't read yet. To find your grind again, you have to get back to the foundation. You have to look at how you were built before the world tried to break you down. You have to understand that you were never alone. There's a backstory to your strength. I grew up with stories of being protected since I was a child, and those stories are the floor I stand on now. My mom used to tell me this one story about me as a baby that will define that very thought. When I was a baby, my mother and her woman at the time had a big house somewhere out Progress. I can't remember exactly where, but it was way out somewhere. She seemed to be happy at the time. Well, I was spoiled, of course, because I was her only baby. I had my own room with a big king size bed and lots of toys, clothes, and pampers. I guess in her mind, she was setting up for the ideal family. That and the fact that she was a first time mom. This one particular night, she said, she had gave me a bath like she usually did, probably scrubbing the skin off of me, I'm sure. My mom was very OCD about being clean. Anyways, she washed me up and lotioned me down and put my PJs on me and put me right in the middle of that king size bed, which also had pillows on each side of me, she explained. She then went on to say that she went back into her room to lay down and got right back up in another 30 minutes to an hour, like she was doing because, like I said, she was a first time parent that was very overprotective for her own personal reasons. But on the second or third time, I think it is, that she said, she came into the room to check on me and I wasn't there. She checked all the windows and doors and they were all closed and locked. She looked under the beds and closets. She literally was tearing her house apart looking for me, to the fact she called the police thinking someone stole her baby. She even called the cavalry, my grams and my aunts. She said she was so distraught she thought she was about to lose her mind, to the fact that she sat down in the front room on the couch and started crying. As she sat on the couch, she looked over at a huge Snoopy dog that was sitting in the corner. I received that as I was a baby, and she said there I was, balled up underneath the Snoopy dog, laying there like a little porcelain doll. Now how I got there, my mom says she has no clue, because I couldn't walk or crawl at the time, which was very strange. My mom always said that did bother her. It actually gives me goosebumps still to this day. Think about it. A baby that can't walk found in the front room. That's more than just a memory. That's a spiritual secret. It tells me that there's a blessing on my life from the very beginning. I was spoiled in the best way. I had a king-size bed. My mother was doing well. She was happy. But even then, I was communicative. I was reaching out to the unseen. My grams told me that when I was a kid, I used to sit underneath the table and have a whole full-blown conversation with someone or something. Now, come on now, y'all. Don't leave me out here on this topic by myself. I know some of y'all had an imaginary friendships before, or spirits. We all had that someone or something we talked to before the world told us it wasn't real. That was our intuition. That was our spirit. So I know I'm not the only one. So don't be acting like I'm out here acting crazy. I can very faintly but vaguely remember that we had a Virgin Mary in our house when I was a kid. In my great grandmom's house at 622 Hamilton Street in Harrisburg. The only one last house standing on that street to this day. And silently, I'm kind of proud of that shit. Anyways, the Virgin Mary used to sit behind the couch, and I actually talked to that thing. My grandma said I used to sit back there and have whole conversations and laugh and smile. I mean, I can actually remember talking to it, sitting behind the couch having a conversation. I just can't remember what the conversations were. Well, sadly, that Virgin Mary disappeared after my great grandmom's died. Nobody could find it anywhere. That was odd. It was like she took it with her or something. Who knows? Looking back on those areas in my life now, I'm learning that healing requires discipline. My great grandma was a religious woman. She was a woman of spirit. She was prepping me for the life I have now. Even when I thought it was just doing chores, I was being prepared. My great granny Agnes would call me upstairs before bed, preferably around 7 o'clock, which wasn't really that dark out back in those days, just to have me help her make her bed so she can get ready for bed, if that makes any sense to anyone else. It never really did to me, but I did what I was supposed to. We would then pull back 10 covers, and listen, I do mean 10 covers, literally, one by one. She would then have me go over to the large dresser. You know, those big old dressers from back in the day, those heavy duty antique Johns. Definitely didn't want any of that falling on your toe. She would have that Bible, and I mean, that Bible was huge. A large, old King James Bible. It's still in our family to this day, and I'm not exaggerating when I say huge. That Bible was big as hell. That thing sat in the middle of that dresser. She would keep a script or a paper or a string, a ribbon, flower, something in that Bible. Maybe a picture of her grandkid that she was praying for or praying over. She was really religious. That book really got her through some hard times. She literally had lots of things written in that book. But anyway, she would have me read a scripture out of that book and then have me walk back over to the bed, and we would put each cover of 10 up at a time. Then we would fold the top down, fold at a time, and then put the covers back like a sandwich in order for us to get into the bed. But before we did that, we also said a prayer on our knees and then got into the bed underneath all 10 of those covers with the heat on high. Imagine that. This was a perfect example of when I say real healing requires discipline. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, though, and put yourself in positions that aren't so easy to deal with in order to know how much you can tolerate. So I feel like at a young age, she was teaching me discipline. My great granny Agnes. She was a very, very strong woman and had very high beliefs in spirit. God was her spirit. She used to tell my grandma Pete Knight, 6th Street Pete, Pistol Pete, the female version, her daughter, that I was going to be a preacher one day. She saw the preacher in me, but look at the discipline she required. How many of us are willing to be disciplined in order to reach our goals, in order to be the best possible version of ourselves? Even in order to heal, we have to be disciplined. I don't know what she was prepping me for, apparently. This, I guess. But I used to have to read a scripture out of that Bible every night. I guess she was preparing me for peeling back those 10 layers. That's the grind, helping her make that bed while staying disciplined enough to follow it through every night. That's where the mental fortitude comes from, the ability to push through the pain because you have a foundation. It sure helped me look at life a lot different now in my adulthood. Thanks, Grams Knight. You know what? Just letting those stories out there and rehashing them as I talk through them literally feels healing. It feels great to be able to share wonderful stories like that, even if they are mysterious. They're also very therapeutic. What kind of baggage are you subconsciously carrying around that you haven't been able to heal from? This is the part of the healing process people avoid. The baggage, the loss, the tough stories, the memories, the pain. In journalism, they say, don't bury the lead. And the ledge here is that life-changing loss changes your entire perspective. I don't know if it changed it for the good or it just changed my life completely. When you lose someone or a situation you were used to, it's hard adjusting to a new one. That's a transformation that is a task in itself. You start looking for that old comfort in the wrong places, especially when it comes to relationships. You get so used to doing what you've been used to doing that you forget to come up for air. And when you do, you realize the air up there is different. I didn't realize before that people tend to worry about all the wrong things. Going out every other weekend, spending money on expensive sneakers that end up hurting your feet anyway. Most people wear them a couple times and then they sit them in the closet until they turn yellow and tarnish. Kinda like a relationship that was built on lies. Arguing, fighting, cheating yourself out of life for the most part. People pleasing to make everyone else around you comfortable, all the while forgetting to heal yourself. Well, we all have been there, trying to outrun the pain with materialistic things, or jumping into what my grams would say, out of the frying pan into the fire. That's the baggage. That's the weight I'm talking about. That's the slow down process. But here's the turning point. The climax of the story. Healing is when you realize that the energy you spent hurting is the same energy you can use to build. I'll take that prepping from my great-grandma and apply it to my life and how I look at it. Like pulling back those 10 layers and getting disciplined while doing it. I've been working on so much stuff because I just feel like I can do anything and everything I put my mind to, literally. Like literally, I feel like I woke up in the right body this time. I feel like I died on that surgery table and was rebirthed. So whenever I focus on something, I must give it my all and stay disciplined. Because I don't know. I just gotta stay disciplined on it. I was given this chance to make it right. So whatever it is, it can be done no matter what. That's the mindset. For me, this is a part of my healing process. We don't all have the same healing process, but we can learn from each other. How to cope, how to reflect, and not stay stuck. How to cry and let go. To smile and remember the right way. The right way. That's the key phrase. No more shortcuts, keys. No more second guessing. You realize that the energy that you were born with as a protected child is now a powerful adult. Mental fortitude. So the Most High and my spirit guides and ancestors that have guided my whole life, period. Seems to think that there's a blessing on my life from the very beginning. That blessing didn't go away, it just evolved. It moved from front room under a Snoopy dog to the boss of my own companies. So, family, remember, the baggage you don't unpack can cost you everything. But when you unpack it, you find the tools you need to build the life you deserve. So we're not second guessing ourselves this year. We're doing the necessary stuff. We're healing for real. Thanks for joining me on the ATL. I'm your host, Keys. If this touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be notified when I drop a new episode. Peace, love, and light, family. Ashe. What babies?
And your wife, because they need you.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because there needs to be a family.
Why?
Because it fills the heart. It teaches about love.
Okay.
It teaches about watching things change.
Right.
Seeing how things don't turn out right sometimes.
Right.
But that it wasn't intended.
Okay.
I was married for 47 years and I loved a man every year.
Okay.
I was lucky. Not everybody is so lucky
You're right.
that they have such a good match, but I did.
Right.
And I know how healing it can be.
Right.
That's why don't give up on your wife and your babies. They need you as much as they need them. Mark those words when I'm dead.
Okay.
Remember those. Because your culture, what I get is women are discounted. That's not good either.
Right.
Not perfect. None of these are perfect.
Right. You're right.
I hope someday it'll be better. Where are my glasses?
Right here.